Hey, if you've ever stared at a product page and thought, I don't want to waste money on something that sounds good on paper but ends up being a headache in my office, you're not alone. The fear of dropping a big-ticket item on a firewall that looks impressive but can't keep up with your everyday traffic is real. You're probably juggling a few internet lines, remote workers, maybe a handful of servers, and you need something that not only blocks the obvious threats but also handles the messy reality of SaaS traffic, cloud apps, and encrypted traffic without a constant babysit. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's dig into whether the SonicWall TZ370 SecureUpgradePlus with the 3-year Essential Protection Service suite actually lives up to that promise for a small to medium business like yours. First off, the biggest draw of the TZ370 is its all-in-one approach. You're not just buying a piece of hardware, you're also getting 3 years of the Essential Protection Service suite, EPSS, baked in. That means you get deep packet inspection of SSL/TLS traffic, intrusion prevention, and a cloud-managed dashboard that promises to keep the firewall up to date without you having to manually download signatures every month. For a boutique IT team that can't afford a dedicated security analyst, that could be the difference between staying compliant and constantly fighting fire. Now, how does that translate into day-to-day use? Imagine you run a marketing agency with 20 employees, each pulling in multiple SaaS tools: HubSpot, Adobe Creative Cloud, Google Workspace, all of which rely on encrypted connections. Before the TZ370, you might have been forced to turn off SSL inspection just to keep traffic flowing, leaving you vulnerable to hidden ransomware. With the SonicWall's TPSL capability, the firewall can still examine those encrypted packets for known threats. In practice, you'll see fewer alerts about unknown SSL traffic and more actionable notifications when a file tries to slip through the cracks with a known malicious signature. That's a real win for teams that need security but can't afford constant false positives. Another practical strength is the built-in secure SD-WAN. If you have a primary MPLS line but also a cheaper broadband backup, the TZ370 will intelligently route traffic based on cost, latency, and application priority. In a real office scenario, this means your VoIP calls stay on the low-latency MPLS link while bulk file transfers or software updates can be offloaded to the broadband connection. The result? Lower monthly WAN bills and a smoother experience for end users, no matter which line is active. I've seen a similar setup in a regional office where the SD-WAN feature shaved roughly 30% off the bandwidth bill because the firewall automatically steered low-priority traffic away from the expensive MPLS pipe. But there are trade-offs you need to consider. The TZ370 is a mid-range appliance. It's built for up to about 500 megabits per second of firewall throughput. If your business routinely pushes a gigabit of traffic, think heavy video production, large file syncs, or a growing remote workforce, then you could start hitting that ceiling during peak hours. The performance hit is not catastrophic, but you'll notice slower page loads for internal apps and occasional latency spikes. For most SMBs that sit under that 500 megabits per second threshold, it's fine, but anyone flirting with higher bandwidth should size up to the TZ500 or higher-end models. A second potential hiccup is the management interface. SonicWall's web console is packed with options, which is great for power users but can be intimidating for a less technical admin. The learning curve isn't insurmountable. SonicWall does provide onboarding guides and the cloud portal helps with template-based policies, but you'll still need to spend a few hours initial configuration to get the most out of the EPSS features. In other words, if you're hoping to just plug it in and forget about it, you'll be disappointed. The device expects regular tuning, especially as new cloud services emerge and you need to adjust firewall rules to avoid blocking legitimate traffic. Speaking of tuning, the 3-year EPSS subscription is both a blessing and a hidden cost. The subscription includes regular signature updates and a cloud-managed dashboard, which keeps you protected without extra licensing fees each year. However, when the 3 years are up, you'll need to either renew the service or transition to a different protection plan. For businesses that plan long-term on a tight budget, that renewal is something to factor into the total cost of ownership. The good news is that the hardware itself remains functional after the subscription ends. You just lose the managed threat updates and may have to patch manually. Who should buy this? If you're a small to medium business with 10-50 users, a mixed line WAN, and a handful of SaaS applications, the TZ370 with EPSS offers a solid security foundation without requiring a full-time security staff. It's especially attractive if you need SD-WAN to stretch a limited budget across multiple internet connections. Companies that have recently migrated to the cloud, or those that have compliance requirements, HEPA, PCI, that demand encrypted traffic inspection, will find the built-in DPI-SSL and IPS features very helpful. Who should skip it? If you're